2011 Toyota Sequoia. Seatbelts got chewed in half by a dog. I'm going to walk you through the process of changing your seatbelts in your Toyota Sequoia. I'm Brian Eslick from How to Automotive, and get started right away. Okay, after matching up our new seatbelts with genuine Toyota seatbelt parts, the first step we're going to do is pop the hood and disconnect the battery, because these seatbelts have little explosive charges in the seatbelts to work with the airbag system, the safety system. So we don't want to accidentally blow these off. So what we're going to do is disconnect the negative battery cable, and you have to wait at least 1.5 minutes before you can unplug or plug in any of the electrical connectors on these, in case you've already taken it apart before you've done it. So let's take the battery apart. So when you're done with this job, most likely you're going to have to reprogram the nav system or the radio. After you're done, it'll go into code, so you'll have to look up the codes for the radio and the navigation system, and you may have to reprogram that. Sometimes the windows will have to be reprogrammed. I'll see what we won't know until we get done what needs to be reprogrammed. So for now, we're going to start by removing these panels on the driver's side pillar here. So to get started with removing these panels, is I'm going to take the hand, pop these little with my panel poppers, or actually my hands, and I'm going to pop these covers off here and here, and then take the handle off, and then I'm going to take the rubber molding weather strippings off too, and you should be able to do that by hand. So I'm just going to peel it back like this on both sides, and that gives you access to pop the panels off. Okay, on the bottom of the pillar here, right behind the driver's seat, you need to get this this cover off. So what I did was I put my pry tool in behind and pushed and pried out like that, and then the cover came off. So now we're going to remove the 14mm bolt here, and that'll remove the bottom part of our seat belt here, and then we'll be able to get this panel off. So we're going to take this panel off, and I'm going to try to just pop them up and leave them aside. If I have to take them all the way off, I will. And I may have to pop the panels on the floor here up, and they're just going to be held on with clips, no screws or anything. So if you need to pop them out, you would get your panel popping tools in different areas and pop it and pop them up, and that would allow you to get this cover all the way out. So on the driver's door too, you also pull the weather stripping off. I like to leave up as much of it hooked back up, so you just snap it back on when you're ready to go back together. So just pull it apart the side. Now you can gain access to put your hands behind here, or your pry tools, your door panel popping tools, or flat blade screwdrivers, whatever you got, and you can pop the panels off. And the reason why we pop the bottom one off first is because it overlaps the top panel, so we pop the bottom one off first, like so. And they're just held on with these little clips that just fell inside the door. I have to retrieve that now. Alright, so we'll pop all those off. So I did have to pop the door spill panels up. I just popped them up. On the back one, it does have one screw. But I'm just going to lift it up enough just to scoot it out. So I'm not going to take it all the way off. And so there's all the clips to hold it on. And as you can see, some of them has come off, so I'm going to have to retrieve these out of the door and transfer them back over. And then one of them actually fell inside, so I'm going to have to retrieve that too. So now the upper panel is held on with this 10mm here, and you got one clip right here. So I'm in the back seat looking towards the front of the car. So on top of this panel is a hook. It hooks in. Sorry about that, guys. It hooks in here, right here. So when you reinstall it, and also this routed through the door panel. So we'll set that aside. Now that we got that off, we can remove our 14mm bolt here and our two 12mm bolts here and a 14mm bolt here. But before we remove the bolts, we want to unplug our sensor here for the, or not a sensor, but our electrical connector for the seatbelt. This actually has a little rocket, like a little rocket motor in it, and it fires, and that's what locks it in place when you get in a crash. So to do that, you have to put a little screwdriver in this little tab and pry it outwards, and then the tab will come off. So as you can see, this is the locker that holds in place. So you pry that back first, and then you're able to pull the electrical connector out of the way. So after getting the 14 and the 10 millimeter bolt out, you have to pull the bottom out first, tilt it, and then pull the whole unit out completely. Okay, in my procedure, it tells me to torque this at 31 inch-pounds and the big 14 millimeters at 71 inch-pounds. And you'll run this one up and put it on the top booster here, and that'll be torqued at 71 foot-pounds too. So you got to make sure that the seat belt is not twisted, and it comes up, and the little ear comes on, and the buckle is facing outwards like so. Okay, now that those are the bottom part of the seat belt is connected and the top up here is connected, we want to go ahead and plug in our connector here, and mine accidentally popped the little thing in, so I'm going to pry this back out, then we'll push it in, and then we'll push the lock tab in second. So as you can see, the tab is out, so now we're going to push it in and then push the lock tab in, and that locks it in place. So now we're going to put this top panel back on, and we got to feed this cable without twisting it through the belt loop here. So we're going to feed that through like so, and we also got to get the buckle itself has to go through the hole too. So you're going to feed both of those through. So now it's pulled through. We got to hook that hook in that hole up there, and also this has aftermarket stereo stuff, so I'm gonna have to tuck that stuff in the way and make sure it doesn't get pinched. So if your car has that stuff, you gotta be careful. So tuck it back up in the headliner, and so it doesn't get pinched. And then once that's tucked in, then what we're gonna do is we're gonna snap that clip back into its little hole on the pillar here, and then we'll put our 10 millimeter bolt back in. Alright, after transferring all your clips that may have popped off and stuck in the door in the pillar there, transfer them all in, and now it's time to install the lower cover. So first thing we're going to do is kind of tuck it underneath the pillars here, or the floor pillars here. So we'll kind of position it in place, and I like to do is kind of line up the holes with the thing is before you start snapping them in. And I'll show you how I do that in a second. So once you slip it on like so, if you peel your hand back a little bit like this, you can kind of see how it goes. And once you can, if you look behind, you can look, it's a little hard with the camera to get back here, but if you look behind, you can actually see the holes, and you line up. And once you get them in place, you just pop them in the panel, pop them down with your hands like so, and just give them a little squeeze, and pop them into place. And go all the way around, you know, from the top to the bottom. After you get those clips popped in and aligned, the next step would be to put our final bolt in. Okay, so now we're going to make sure our belt's not twisted at all. So we put it through, and then start the nut. It's a special bolt, so make sure you keep track of that. And then has a little shoulder on it, so it can pivot like so once it's tight. So you torque that down to 71 inch-pounds. So next I reinstalled our rubber weather stripping, and you can see on the top there's a little gap, whatever, but that's okay, because when you push it in like that and then you put the handle on, the handle's what holds it on top. So you put the handle in and bolt that down with the two 10 millimeter bolts. So now that we got all the weather stripping back in, the handles back on, we're going to put this little clip cover that went over the bottom bolt here back on, and basically what you're going to do is you're going to hook the bottom where it has that little hook. It's going to hook on the bottom first, and then you're going to snap the tops on, and that's it for that. Now we're going to go on the other side and reassemble the door spill and the weather stripping. So on this side, if you see that little clip in there, that actually has to, the weather stripping has to catch that, and that helps hold this side flush to the door pillar here. So you're gonna put your weather stripping around and work it around like so, and then you're gonna snap your door spill back into place. So when you're putting this weather stripping on, you'll have to bang it with your hand as you get it in the track all the way around. Now that that's on, we'll put the door spill back on, and it just snaps into place. You just push down on it. Okay, the last step would be to install our battery cable back in it, and then install our radio codes if the radio went into code or not. And that's it. And my name is Brian Eslick from How To Automotive. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will respond to you. And I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos, and subscribe for more how-to videos. And thank you again.